Hey friends, it's Mike. I am in the process of building a Stratocaster type of guitar, and to do this I am using an AXL or AXL shell. A shell is a guitar body that has no electronics, it's all hollowed out, so you have to put everything in and all that good stuff. So, although right now you do see the pick guard, you see pickups and knobs and all that stuff, that is the work I did last night and into this morning. So I wired up the pick guard, if you will. And I have a tremolo tailpiece coming, and that should be here probably in a couple of weeks. I got a very good price on it. I'm going to be putting a Fender style neck on the guitar. I did have to widen the pocket here. This is a bolt-on neck because the shell, I've had this shell for about 2 years. It's been sitting in a closet. And when I went to go lay the neck in to see how it would fit, well, it didn't fit. It was too tight, so I could not get the neck into the pocket. So I spent time just filing this out using my very small chisel, wood chisel, and it required that I do a little bit of touch-up work right here because the poly that's on the guitar, really it's very difficult not to do this, but when you're filing and trying to sand these pockets, sometimes what will happen is the finish will lift a little bit, and when that happens is the top coat pulls away from the paint, and then you have like a, looks like almost like an air bubble type of crack in the finish. So I worked on that and it looks pretty good right now, so I'm just going to let it be. It's in a place where nobody's going to see it anyway, but it looks 100 times better than what it looked like. So in any case, that's what I'm working on now. Here's the neck. Let me just show you, step over to the side here. This is the neck. You can see it is a Fender style headstock. And I have Fender tuners that I will be putting on it. It's really a nice looking neck. Take a look. Has that yellow tint to the maple. So I'm either going to put this one on, or I have another one that looks like this, but it's not rosewood. The fingerboard is actually maple as well, which is what you see with many Stratocasters anyway. You don't normally see a rosewood fingerboard on Strats. Not to say never, but not too often, infrequently. So I have to think about that. This one, or the maple, which is the same yellow tint to the wood. So I'll think about that. So anyway, this shouldn't take too long to put together. In fact, I have another pick guard because I have 2 of these. My brother's going to take another one. This is what it looks like. This is how it comes. Okay, so this is it. So everything that's in here, I put in there. Also, it's not an exact replica of a Stratocaster. Here's a real Stratocaster pick guard. I shouldn't say real, but it's a aftermarket, but it's for a Strat. And you can see it's different. See the lines? Right. So somebody looking at it, it will look like a Strat, but somebody who knows Strats will know that it is not. Okay? And to do the wiring, I just want to show you guys Seymour Duncan, and what a great company. So along with making great pickups, they have these wiring schematics that you can just go to their site and print off. And the diagrams are well documented, very easy to read. Okay, the pickups. This is a California Guitars or Cali G humbucker in the neck position, a Cali G humbucker in the bridge position, and this is a Donless in the middle position. And the rest of the components are from Donless. I get a lot of my pickups from Donless. They make very good pickups. There have been technical reviews done where they laid their pickups up against name brands like DiMarzio and Gibson and so on, and they run with the pack. I mean, they're right there. So those are the pickups I like to use because they're far more affordable than the ones I just mentioned, like DiMarzio, even Seymour Duncan. Seymour Duncans are expensive. Gibson pickups are expensive, and quite honestly, I'm not even a big fan of their pickups. But in any case, So that's what I'm working on now, and this, like I said, it shouldn't take too long, and I'll have her together, and we'll see. Hopefully she plays well. I'm sure she will. Hey friends, it's Mike. It's been a couple of weeks, actually a few weeks, and I'm going to put the trem bridge into this guitar now, into what I'm going to call my Jimi Hendrix guitar. I have some Jimi Hendrix water slide decals, so I'm going to make my own Jimi Hendrix branded guitar. So here's the trem bridge. I got this from Guitar Family off of AliExpress. Very good quality bridge. It was about $45 or so. I think, I'm trying to remember, it's been a while. I believe the shipping was free on this. So $45 free shipping. Okay. So I'm going to install this, and I'm not going to video this. What I'm going to do is insert a Fender video on how to put these trem bridges in. They do a really good job of it, and it's going to save me the time of trying to set up the camera and all that stuff. Okay, so while you watch that, I'll put it in, and when I'm done, I'll come back. Thanks.
Hey, this is John Dreyer for Fender University. I'm here with Chris Fleming from Fender R&D. Chris is going to show us how to install a tremolo bridge into a new Fender body. Chris, take it away. Show us the process and walk us through.
Will do. All right, so we're going to start by installing the trem claw, is what we call it, and this is where the springs attach and then go to the bridge. The first thing you'll want to do here is wax up your screws. It'll make it much easier to install this. So you put a little wax or soap on the screw. A long screwdriver is much easier for this process because you really want to watch out. It's easy to bump the body with the edge of the screwdriver and cause your first ding. We'll take these screws to about ½ inch or so from the edge of the body here, because later on we're going to use that to adjust the trem for how loose it is or how tight it is. Okay, so that's good to start. And you're going to need at some point to put your ground wire through into the next cavity. So there's the first step. I'm going to turn it over and install the posts. These come with the bridge that you buy, and the threaded inserts here are already in the body when you buy the body, so you don't have to worry about putting those in and causing chips or anything. What you want to do for now is bring it down as far as it'll go. And we'll just leave it there, and then later when we do a setup, we'll adjust the height of the front of the bridge using these posts. This one's snug, so we'll take it all the way down with the screwdriver. You'll notice I'm keeping my fingers around this because from experience, the blade of that screwdriver will jump out and put a big old ding right in your guitar, and I've done that, so you don't want to do that. Okay, now I got these both down flush. Now I'm going to take the bridge and install it. Okay, should fit right into the pocket, and you'll notice that there's two cutouts here that correspond with the posts. What'll happen is when we get the springs on, the springs will hold it up against the post, and then when the strings are in, the string tension will bring it up, and then we will adjust it. I'm going to hold it together while I turn it over, okay, because it'll fall out till I get the first spring on. You're going to pull the spring to the front. We have 3 springs. We'll do one in the center and one to either side. There we go. Okay, there you have it. Now, so what I have now is, there we go. I've got the bridge attached to the posts. I have the trem claw in, and I've put some of the springs on. There's 3 of them. You can put more springs, but generally modern players like 3 springs. And that's basically it.
Okay, Chris, we have a different body here. This is a Strat with a vintage tremolo. Could you walk us through the process of installing a vintage trem?
Sure, you bet. Well, the first thing I do is take the screwdriver, Phillips head screwdriver, and clean out each of these holes. There's 6 holes for the screws that hold the bridge down. And this will help as you install to keep the paint from chipping around these holes. So I just kind of clean them up like that first. Then I take the bridge and place it carefully in the route and line up the holes. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is wax this screw. You can use a bar of soap or paraffin or beeswax, whatever. This happens to be paraffin. But this really helps lubricate the screw and make it much easier for you to be able to put the screw in. So here we go. Okay, you can see I've screwed these down close to the bridge plate. Now what I'm going to do is on each screw, you'll notice that I'm going to take it down to where the bridge tilts a little. You see that? And then I back it off till it's flat. Now I'm going to do that on every screw. This way you don't have anything holding up the bridge. It's free to float. So here we go. It's going to tilt. See? And I back it off. Just about quarter turn from where it tilts. It'll lay flat. See, there it tilts. Back it off. I'm going to do that on all 6 of these, and that allows a pretty even point of contact across all of the screws. Here it comes. See, it's tilting. And I bring it back a little. Do the same thing here. Tilts, back, and the last one. Okay, tilts, back. There. Now, nice. You can see how this floats pretty good. Okay, next step is going to be installing the trem claw. This goes in the back of the route for the bridge pocket to allow for the springs. That's what makes the tremolo float. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wax the screws so they'll be a little bit easier to put in. It's good if you can to get a long screwdriver like this one so that you're not going to ding up the body as you're putting this in. And I also like to use the screwdriver to kind of open up the end of or the beginning of the hole, I should say here, to allow it to be easier to screw these screws in. This is probably one of the physically harder things to do because of the angle of this screw. So I'm going to hold my fingers around the screwdriver kind of on the body to make sure that I'm not tearing the body up with the handle of the screwdriver as I'm doing this.
Probably a good idea to not use a drill for this step.
You don't want to use a drill. Yeah. It's really dangerous. I've ruined bodies trying to do that before. So I'm going to take this screw to about 1/2 inch from the pocket. There we go, about like that. Now, as you get ready to wire the guitar, this trem claw will actually have a ground on it. That'll help ground the bridge. When you're touching the strings, if it isn't grounded, you'll have noise. And then, see, these springs are a little bit hard, so I'll generally take the screwdriver and line it up like that. These springs are pretty tight. Help me put it in like that. This is a little bit tricky. The other thing you can do is leave the claw out farther, attach the springs, and then tighten it. But I like to get it close to where it's going to end up before I put the springs in. It makes the bridge more stable. There we go. And that's it. Next thing you would do would be put the rest of the guitar together, and you can adjust the springs for the tension of the trem. Some people like to tighten it so that it stays on the body, and others like it to float. But that would be part of the setup.
Thank you, Chris.
My pleasure.
For more information and to find out how you can purchase Fender necks and bodies and other parts, please visit fender.com.
Okay, so you can see now that the trem bridge is connected, and all I did was exactly what was shown in the Fender video. Now, here we could see that the plate, this is a Jimi Hendrix plate, I don't know if you could see it. I got this off of eBay. What I did was these screws are not in all the way. They're just there to align the plate. Now the reason why the neck is clamped to the body is so that I can start the process of making sure that the neck is aligned properly. And you can see, and I do this little trick with many of my videos when I'm trying to align a bolt-on neck. I have a low E and a high E string attached to the guitar, and of course the clamp keeps the neck in place, connected to the body. And so what I'm going to do is, what I did was to run the strings right from the bridge all the way down to the tuners. And what I'm looking for is to make sure that the distance, the outside of the strings to the the edges of the neck are equal all the way down the fretboard. That's what I'm looking for. So this looks really good. I'm doing it by eye right now, but I am going to take out my engineer's ruler and I'm going to measure. You should have around 4/32 or 1/8 of an inch of a gap between the edge of the string and the edge of the fretboard on the high E, and 1/8 of an inch or 4/32 on the low E side as well. What you don't want to have happen is the neck, the string, I should say, on the neck starts off at a certain distance down by the first fret, and then as you make your way down, it's doing something like this, where it's off like that, or it's in like this. You don't want that. Right? That's going to screw everything up. So just make sure that you have this distance, this equal distance, playing out all along the side of the fretboard relative to the side of the string, the outside side of the string. Okay, same thing here. You don't want this, you don't want that, you want it to be equal. So I'm going to measure it now, and once I do that, then I will be able to bolt the neck on. And if it were off, because I have the clamp here, I would be able to shift the neck a little left, a little right, in order to make the adjustment, and then screw it in, and then I know that the neck is positioned correctly. It's aligned properly. All right, so let me do the measuring now, and the next time I come back, the neck will be bolted on. All right, so the back plate is on. And let me see if I can get the picture of Hendrix there. eBay. I'll put the link in the description box below in case anybody's interested. This guy sells a bunch of different plates. He's a little slow in shipping, and he's extremely unresponsive if you email him, but he does get the product out, so just don't expect him to hop right to it. In any case, to put the screws in, what I do is, in the fender video, we talk about putting some wax. All I do is just use a crayon. And it does make the drilling of the screws into the wood a lot easier when you use some wax or the crayon. Okay, so just a little tip there. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I have to check the frets, make sure they're all level. I have not done that yet. I waited until the neck was on the guitar. I find it's just a lot easier for me to work that way. And I'll screw down the pick guard, and we should be in good shape. I did get these back plates, and I intentionally got this kind of this orange perloid just to kind of break it up a little bit, and it somewhat matches the neck. That was really my intent. All right, so I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, so I'm in the process of leveling the frets, and the frets on this fretboard actually were fairly level. The only time I had some higher frets was up here toward the ends, near the low E. Otherwise, in the center, it was really good, and most of the time by the high E, it was very good. So this is moving very quickly because of that. I did swap out the nut. The nut that came with the neck was a plastic nut, and this is a Tone Ninja, which is very similar to a Tusk XL, which is self-lubricating. So we'll have that on the guitar. That'll be good. And I also put the water slide decal on. You can see there, Jimi Hendrix. You can see I taped off the pickups because we don't want any of the filings from the fretwork to wind up on the pickups because of the magnets. Okay, so we're coming along, and I should have her done pretty soon. The only thing I don't have yet is a customized water slide decal, which is going to go here. It's coming from a seller, I think he's in Argentina, but he does great work. So I figured maybe another week or two that should show up, and then I'll put that on the guitar. But for now, I'll put the rest of it together. So I'll be back in a little bit. Let me get the frets done, then I'll put the strings on, and we can take a look. Okay, so be back. Okay, so my Jimi Hendrix style Stratocaster is done, and she came out great. I have to admit, she came out really nice. So let's take a look at a couple of things as we go down the neck. Take a look at the water slide decal. Sergio Quay, Sergio Caster, free and critical thinking. custom build. This decal is from the seller on eBay, and I will put his store and a link to his store in the description box below. He does great work. You're going to have to wait about 3 weeks. That's from the time that he receives the order to the time that you will most likely receive it in your mailbox back. So it's not bad as far as delivery time, considering he has to custom make them and it's shipping from Argentina. So good deal. You can see that I put the string trees on the guitar, and those are the ones that have the rounded ends, which are better because there won't be any string binding or friction with the string. The nut is a Tone Ninja. It's a graphite nut. The frets are all leveled. And I got this neck, I think, off AliExpress. I'll double check. I'll put the link in the description box below. I think it was Kmise, K-M-I-S-E. You see them a lot, especially on Amazon. And I have to admit, the neck was well put together. The pickups, California guitars, humbucker. At the neck, also at the bridge, we have a Dauntless single coil in the middle. The trem bridge is from Guitar Family, AliExpress. It's a high quality trem bridge, $45, no shipping. She works great. The pick guard came with the shell, the AXL shell, and I got this shell from an online store called youbuyguitars.com, and I don't think they have these shells anymore, so you'll have to hunt and peck on eBay if you're interested. I don't see them anymore. He had this inventory of AXL or Axel shells, not just Strat bodies, but also Les Paul style bodies, and he was getting rid of them for like $39, $49. I think this Strat body with the neck was something like $19.99, $25 tops. So I picked up a couple of them. I have one more, and I put them in a closet. And I figured, well, one of these days I'll get to it. And so I finally got to this one. I'm really glad that I did. You can see the Jimi Hendrix water slide decal. You can get these on eBay along with other artists. So she came out great. She really did. Let's flip her over. Let's take a look what the back looks like. I really like the neck. It is a gloss finish. I know some folks don't like the gloss finish. They said it's not as quick to play as far as your hand sliding up and down the neck. I really have never really found that to be a problem, to be honest with you. I guess with some folks, yes, but for me, it's never been an issue. But the finish on the neck is very good. These are Fender tuners. You can see the Fender logo. All right, and they're really not that expensive. It's not like the Grovers. You can see there the Hendrix plate. See if I can get it so we get the glare out of the way. Again, I'll put the link in for this guy too on eBay. He's not the quickest shipper in the world, and he's not responsive with emails when you write him and ask when is the plate going to ship, but he eventually gets to it. I didn't mind because I was waiting on other parts, so it wasn't like I was chomping at the bit, but still, at least respond to the email. Okay, and then this plate here, again, I mentioned that I put this plate on because I thought it matched fairly well with the neck and give it some contrast. All right, and Dunlop strap locks on the guitar. Okay, so let's flip her over again. Okay, so that's it. Another guitar down. She's a great player. Plugged her in yesterday. And lots of presents with those pickups. I love humbuckers. I'm not a big single coil fan, but I will say that with this guitar, the single coil in the center position, the middle position, it has a nice sound when you blend either the neck with the middle pickup or the bridge with the middle pickup. So it sounds good. Okay? All right, you guys. Hope you enjoyed this video, and the comments section is open. And I will be approving the comments because, as I've mentioned in other videos, some people simply cannot behave themselves. All right? Have a great day, and talk soon.